So thanks, Mark, and I'm going to kick off with the video, I think.
Conventional ways of communicating. Now, it's common knowledge that most of communication is non-verbal. So we probably all experienced this when you get a text and you go, yeah, I'd love to go to Paris with you, but what does she mean by that? Most communication doesn't happen through words. And yet, historically, the way that we make essays is through words, and we write. The whole craft of an essay is that it's about clarity of expression, it's legal terms, it's precision of expression. But are there any ways that you can communicate something that are more appropriate? Or if that way of expressing yourself just doesn't work very well, is there a better way of doing it? Also, has it got to be just a bundle of A4 paper? Can you not communicate by making a painting? Can you not make a building, a garden? Can something else not be equally valid as a way of communicating your ideas? Because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get one mind and then connect that to another. So, is a comic a good way of communicating something? A page of a comic. It's got illustrations, colour, drama, text. I think comic communicates well. Comics can be made into film, like Sin City. That's a very successful transition. So they're interchangeable. Nobody can say that cinema's not an art form. So if a painting can be a statement, a building can be a statement, anything could be a statement. So can we communicate in ways like a tapestry or a collage? Now, I'm just going to show you now a collage. This is essentially a mind map. It's taking ideas and then just throwing them, not even vertically, they arrange around a hub. Clusters of images which represent clusters of thought, and deliberately without connections, without text. It probably needs somebody to interpret them, a guide, a voiceover, but it communicates so much if it's done properly, more than an essay, more than a bundle of A4 does. If you now look at the tapestry, which is another student's work, this was based on work by Grace Perry, and it communicates a story of how someone got to the point where they are as a phenomenally good photographer. The story that you see laid out like the Bay of Tapestry substitutes for storytelling. It's visual storytelling. And when I asked, is this research, is this presentation, or is this outcome? This particular student, Sacha Ferrier, said, yes, all of the above. It's holistic, it's the whole thing. The process of making it is the research, the process of making the thing is the presentation. If you have a look at some of the collages that I've produced, looking at those things individually, there's so much there that you can't grasp it. I can't see the connections, which is why I laid it all out. And I laid it out so that I could see things which I couldn't hold mentally, or I couldn't hold if they were filed away in a plastic crate. So when you see some artwork that I've made that was produced from capturing microwaves emitted during the beginning of time, and then I make a connection between that and 19th century scientific engravings, verbally, that's a ridiculous thing to do. Why are they similar? Because they're equally wiggly. But when you put them visually together, it makes perfect sense. You can see that the one talks to the other. There's a continuity, there's a connection, which again probably needs interpretation, probably needs explanation. But if you look for long enough, a piece of work like this will explain itself. And so I think that's what I'm challenging you to do today, is to think, does it have to be a bundle of paper? Because that's just how it's done. Does it have to be text? Can you base an argument on images? On putting one image next to another in a sequence? can now convey an idea. And I think in some cases, not only is it more appropriate, but it's sensible. Thanks.
Now we've got 120 seconds for questions. Other jackets, by the way, are available.
How was the wine?
I think that was supposed to be a shot.
Yeah, hi. It's very interesting what you're showing. For me, though, it's about understanding the language base. For me, it's about understanding that collage. Do I understand it? Do I understand it correctly? I have to learn that language.
Yeah, I think everybody understands things at sea, but probably needs a guide. So somebody's got to stand there and go, this is what it says. But sometimes I think it's easier than going, it's got to be on piece of A4.
The students might not be able to represent it.
Yeah.
I was just to say, I like the idea of doing this. And I remember doing one as a kid in 1900 in London, wherever it was. So I remember the tapestries as a result of doing that. And I think this has got, analogies to the first speaker today about Hamlet. My concern is how do we convey that we've always got this module descriptor and an examination or some other form of assessment that we've got to prove it to someone guided.
I think it depends how you write the module.
And that's the key to the issue of having a thinking should be.
I think how you write the assessment criteria.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was just going to respond to that because we used to have a module where it was a poster presentation to convey students' understanding of psychosocial theories applying to a real person with a domain. And what we discovered was some students ended up kind of writing essays and pinning them on there and not themselves making the transition into using images to convey the stories. But some students really, really got it.
The easiest way of doing it is actually make models out of like jump models.
Yeah.
So you've got to describe something just using paragraph really. But
So the assessment is the dialogue in relation to
well, the assessment is what students have got to understand. That's just a means of communicating what they understand.
but it still gives interpretation.
Yeah, so maybe it's in the words, but it's somewhere between the words and the conversation you have with the thing, I think.
But it has to include an explanation, a verbal explanation.
Maybe it has to.
Depending on them.
Yeah.
Ching!